Hi, this is Mr. Kirk speaking, and this is a presentation to parents of any students in Year 11 who are interested in coming on our trip to Edinburgh in February 2022. At the Community College, we've been really conscious that over the last year and a half, loads of things have been cancelled. Lots of trips, lots of university visits, lots of outside speakers, all kinds of things. And as such, students have been restricted in the opportunities that are available to them, and we've not been able to offer the usual diet of cultural experiences that we would normally expect to at a particularly formative time of their development. As such, we're concerned that over the last year and a half, horizons have been limited, opportunities have been missed. And so, with that in mind, we're very keen to put in place a trip that would try and redress some of this loss. And so in February 22, we're planning on taking 40 Year 11 students to Edinburgh, capital of Scotland. The purpose of this is to broaden their horizons, is to be in a vibrant city that's part of the UK, but culturally very different to our areas of Shropshire and Powys. And really there are four aims to this trip. The first, of course, is for it to be fun and for students to be together, to do something great together that they'll remember for the rest of their lives. As at the time when they're still part of a cohesive social group, it won't be long before they all go their separate ways, and it will be nice for them to have one lasting memory of a good time together, and that's what we're hoping Edinburgh will be. We'll also aim to cram in as much culture as possible. We'll be exploring all sorts of different things in Edinburgh, which I'll go through in a moment. We're aiming for it to be educational. We're linking it to themes of art, modern art, science, history, geology, all sorts of other possibilities too. And also we hope that it will be aspirational. We hope that it will give them an insight into different ways of life within the UK, as well as, with luck, a university visit. At the time that I'm speaking now, this is yet to be confirmed, but we're looking at either a visit to Edinburgh University or Heriot Watt. We've got contacts at both, so hopefully one of those will come to pass as part of this trip. So we'll travel to Edinburgh by coach on Friday the 18th of February. School breaks up on Thursday the 17th, so Friday the 18th is the first day of the half term. So there'll be no school missed. This is in the first few days of the half term holiday in February. We'll depart the school by coach at 10 o'clock and drive up to Edinburgh that day. When we get to Edinburgh, we're going to be staying in a youth hostel on Leith Walk. Leith Walk is just off the city centre. It's reasonably priced but comfortable, clean, and is offering decent food for us, and so it's well placed for us. One of the great advantages of Edinburgh, and we did consider some other options for this trip as well, but one of the great advantages of Edinburgh is that it's a very compact city centre, and so from our base in Leith Walk we'll be able to walk to the majority of the attractions and sites that we're going to visit. We will also have a coach at our disposal, so there are a few occasions where we're going to need to get in the coach and go off to other places. And that will be there for us when we need to. So anyway, we get up to Edinburgh. We arrive at this youth hostel on a Friday the 18th, and then we are based at the youth hostel for 4 nights. During those days that we're in Edinburgh, we'll be mainly based in the city centre. We'll be exploring various sites. And this little promotional video that I'm about to show you now is made by the youth hostel. It shows you mainly the youth hostel, but it also shows some of the sites of Edinburgh as well that we'll be hoping to experience. Students, here we go. There we are. There's a few images of pubs in there that I couldn't edit out. We're not planning on taking them to those places. So what we are going to see, we're going to go and see Edinburgh Castle. The first day will be based around the Royal Mile, with Edinburgh Castle at one end, and the Palace of Holyrood at the other end. We've got tickets to go into the Palace of Holyrood, the Queen's official residence in Edinburgh, and have a tour of that. Right next door to the Palace of Holyrood is the Scottish Parliament. We should, depending on what's taking place in the Parliament on that particular occasion, we should be able to get a tour inside the Scottish Parliament to see some of Scottish democracy in action. We'll also be visiting a number of other attractions within the centre, not least the Museum of Scotland, which hosts Dolly the sheep, which is what you can see there, as well as all kinds of science-related history, particularly Scottish history, and other cultural exhibitions. We're planning on taking a walk out to the Scottish Gallery of Modern Art, which is a great museum, compact and full of all sorts of modern art that Miss Lane will be able to explain better than me, and a whole load of other city centre sites. There are other bits and pieces and possibilities that we may be able to include as the trip develops. Some of these will be left to the last few weeks or so, dependent on COVID restrictions and all that sort of thing. One of the more interesting aspects to this trip, aspects to Edinburgh, I think, is that the city centre of Edinburgh was rebuilt following the plague, and the modern city centre was built over the previous city centre, and in recent years the old vaults and streets and deserted areas underneath the city have been rediscovered and redeveloped, and we'll be taking the kids on a tour of some of these through what is known as the Edinburgh Dungeons, and this is a little video about that.
Stand where you are, peasants. You are no longer in control of your own fate. You are about to be plunged into the deepest, darkest depths. Judge Mental is ready to hear your plea. And whether you're found innocent or guilty, the witch trials await you all. You'll travel through plague-ridden streets and hear chilling tales of murder. Perhaps even face the wrath of the scary spirits left behind. if you make it through alive, you can go free from this wretched place. Stick together, don't stray from the path now, and never, ever end up at the back. Welcome to the dungeon.
Now, originally, of course, in February half term, we were hoping to run a skiing trip to Italy. And certainly one of the reasons why I originally started looking at Scotland as a replacement was I wondered whether we could get away with actually running a skiing trip to Scotland. But having looked at it, I came to the conclusion that actually the chances of decent snow are too unreliable. It would be too disappointing to run a trip to the Cairngorms or to Aviemore and to find that there wasn't any snow. However, just on the outskirts of Edinburgh is Europe's longest dry ski slope, and at a place called Hill End. This is a photograph of it, overlooking the city and further forth and Fife beyond. And so we're going to take the students for a half day of dry ski slope lessons as part of the trip as well. One of the other excursions that involves driving out of the city centre will be a trip to Edinburgh Zoo, which I think is possibly the only place, maybe one of a few places in the UK where you can see giant pandas. In addition to all this, we will aim to climb Arthur's Seat to get good views over the city, which is a volcanic formation just behind Holyrood Palace. There will be opportunities for the students to do some shopping. We'll be able to take them to the cinema in the evening. There's a possibility of ice skating too, as well as a university visit that I've already mentioned before. And all this crammed into just 4 nights, 5 days, 18th to the 22nd of February. And we'll be back at school, hopefully around about 10 o'clock in the evening on the 22nd of February. The cost of the entire trip is £475. We're travelling with a company called Snow Tracks, which actually was the original company that would have been taking us on the ski trip to Italy. They're based in Edinburgh and well placed there for sorting us out with a trip in Edinburgh. And in fact, they're going to be providing us with a rep for the full duration to help with the logistics of the trip, make sure the trip runs smoothly, and as far as I'm concerned, what's important is to be able to cram in as much as possible to the amount of time that we're there. So it includes 4 nights B&B at City Centre Hostel, 3 dinners, coach travel there and back and during the week, and all the entrance costs to the zoo, the museums, the various bits and various places that we're going to. A few of them are free, but those that need a charge, that's included. What it doesn't include is the cost of lunches and 1 dinner out. I've taken the cost of 1 dinner out from the youth hostel because I thought that students would enjoy the opportunity to go to a local leisure and retail centre where they'll be able to go to the cinema and go shopping in the evening and take their dinner there. So it doesn't include those. It doesn't include the cinema costs. Some may not wish to go to the cinema, depends what film is on, of course, and obviously it doesn't include shopping costs either. So 475 plus those additional costs that students will need to take cash for. We've got to act quickly. It's taken us this term so far to get to the point of actually being able to put a package together. As you know, the ski trip was cancelled at the end of the summer term, so this is rather reactionary to that. But we're confident that we've got a really good package on offer. But it does mean that we need to act fairly quickly. So the deadline for this is the 26th of November, and what we need by the 26th of November is a deposit of £200, and we need that to have been completed via parent pay, please. There are only 40 places. I hope that students and families will be interested in this. I think it represents good value for money. If it doesn't run, it doesn't run, but we've made the offer available to you. I should add a couple of caveats. Any of the items on the itinerary could be changed. We don't expect them to be, but there is a possibility. I have got a reserve list of other itinerary items which we could substitute in should we need to, depending on what happens with COVID over the next few months. Of course, we'll have to comply with COVID regulations in Scotland when we're there. We'll be keeping an eye on what that means. One of the factors in the decision making behind this is about COVID risk, of course. Travelling by coach rather than by any form of public transport we consider to be safe. Once they're there, the vast majority of activities will be accessed by foot, walking outside. Many of them have a large outside element to them, and so we feel that we're able to mitigate COVID risks as much as possible. Anyhow, that's my presentation. If anybody needs additional information at this stage, please don't hesitate to make contact with me. The best way is via email, which is kirk.a@communitycollegebc.org.uk, but I'm happy to pick up the phone too. There we are, that's it.